how much longer we're going to be in Matthew. Probably about 8 more weeks. Okay? It's going to seem kind of strange to not be in Matthew. We've been here for so long. So let's go to Matthew 26. We're going to read verses 57 through 68. We'll begin with the reading of the Word, because the power is in the Word of God. Those who had arrested Jesus led him away to Caiaphas, the high priest, where the scribes and the elders had convened. Peter was following him at a distance, right to the high priest's courtyard. He went in and was sitting with the servants to see the outcome. The chief priests and the whole Sanhedrin were looking for false testimony against Jesus so that they could put him to death. But they could not find any, even though many false witnesses came forward. Finally, 2 who came forward stated, "This man said, I can destroy the temple of God and rebuild it in 3 days." The high priest stood up and said to him, "Don't you have an answer to what these men are testifying against you?" But Jesus kept silent. The high priest said to him, "I charge you under oath by the living God. Tell us if you are the Messiah, the Son of God." "You have said it," Jesus told him. "But I tell you, in the future you will see the Son of Man seated at the right hand of power and coming on the clouds of heaven." Then the high priest tore his robes and said, "He has blasphemed. Why do we still need witnesses? See, now you've heard the blasphemy. What is your decision?" They answered, "He deserves death." Then they spat in his face and beat him. Others slapped him and said, "Prophesy to us, Messiah, who hit you?" As I read this passage in preparation for the message, a thought popped into my mind. Can it get any worse than this? And then I thought, actually, yes, it will get much worse. The crucifixion is still to come. The flogging is still to come. As I've said several times, the darkness of these verses surrounding the Garden of Gethsemane, the betrayal by Judas, the arrest of Jesus, the fleeing of the disciples, and now the trial and mockery of Jesus, it is difficult to dig down deep into these things and to take a good look at them because they are so dark. The trial itself was extremely illegal. It broke several of the laws the Jews had concerning trials. Number 1, the Sanhedrin was permitted to hold a trial involving capital punishment only in the temple and only in public. Number 2, capital crimes were to be tried during the daytime only. Number 3, they were not to be tried during festival times. Number 4, they were not to be dealt with at a single setting of 1 day, and a sentence of death could not be carried out until the 3rd day after it was rendered, and that during the intervening days, the members of the court were instructed to fast. Number 5, a defendant was protected against self-incrimination. So his confession, no matter how convicting, was not enough in itself of conviction. In fact, if that was all they had, they were supposed to set the accused free. A council itself could not initiate charges against a person, but could only consider charges brought before it by an outside party. Number 7, if a council voted unanimously for conviction, the accused was set free because the necessary element of mercy was presumed to be lacking. And number 8, the governing principle in capital cases was, quote, "The Sanhedrin is to save, not destroy life." There's actually other laws they broke, but the whole trial and meeting of Jesus in the home of Caiaphas was illegal. It's a dark time here. It's a dark passage, a sad passage. And I spent a lot of time with the Lord asking Him for an encouraging message in these passages. The last few weeks have been very difficult for me to deliver. I think I've gotten your feedback, and although I know a lot of the feedback has been that you enjoyed the message, it was also hard for you to hear. I mean, because these are hard things. I long to give you something encouraging this morning. That's what I wanted really more. That's what my heart's desire was. I prayed to God. I maybe have spent more time in prayer on this message than any other. I said, Lord, I want to lift your people up this Sunday. I've been going over and over this passage, Lord, and it just keeps getting darker and darker to me. I don't want to bring them down. I want to lift them up. I want to encourage them on Sunday. I don't want to make them feel like they're falling short. I want to give them some hope in the middle of such dark passages. And as I really like, just give help me, Lord. Show me what I'm missing here. And you know what? Well, I'm not saying there aren't some hard parts in the message today, because there are, and we'll be examining them bit by bit as we go through the passage. I do believe he not only heard my prayer, but he answered it well. He more or less answered it with a question back to me at first. I kind of felt that, in case you're wondering, no, I didn't hear an audible voice. Okay, and believe me, if I ever hear an audible voice from God, you'll know about it before Sunday. I'd be on the phone talking to people. But inside, I felt the Spirit say, the Lord asking me, well, Dave, what do you find encouraging in this passage? I thought, that's right. But if I find something encouraging, then I can encourage God's people with it. So I began to look at what was encouraging to me. Is there anything encouraging here? Because this is pretty bleak, okay? So I opened the passage and I looked at it with fresh eyes, a fresh mind, a fresh spirit, and a fresh soul. And I'll tell you one of the habits that I have to overcome, that I had to overcome in this message, and you'll know what it is in a little bit. Specifically, but I'll tell you generically what it is now, is a lot of times, especially when you've been in church for a long time, when you've heard the word preached and taught over and over and over again. First of all, let me say this. Has anybody yet here that's here this morning exhausted the knowledge that's in this book? Okay. So it's inexhaustible. Here's one of the things I love about this. Is an inexhaustible wealth of information. One of the things I believe we'll be doing in eternity, in heaven and on the new earth, along with so many other things, is we're still going to be learning this book. We're never going to exhaust it. We will never exhaust this book. But one of the problems we can have is we hear something over and over and over again, and it makes sense, right? And it has the and I'm not and it may be true, okay? I'm not saying that there's not truth in it, but we fail to look further for more truth, to see it from a different point of view. And that's what the Lord showed me this morning. So let's go. Going back over the verse, we're going to go through these now verse by verse. Verse 57. Those who had arrested Jesus led him away to Caiaphas the high priest, where the scribes and the elders had convened. Peter was following him at a distance, right to the high priest's courtyard. He went in and was sitting with his servants to see the outcome. I titled the message, Follow Jesus. Now I can't remember which one was first. All the way, no matter what? No matter what, all the way, either one. Okay? But follow him, even if from a distance. Jesus was taken away in the middle of the night for an illegal trial in front of an illegal gathering with a group of individuals who had no legal power or authority over him. This is the scene set before us. This is where the trial and conviction really took place. Not with Pilate later on, not in front of Herod, but here, in the place of Caiaphas. This is where the sentence was passed out. This is where his fate was decided by an earthly court. Okay? It had already, as we've talked about before in previous messages, Jesus was in control of all of this. So this wasn't any surprise to him. It only happened because he allowed it to happen. The Sanhedrin had already determined that he must die, so this was nothing more than a mock trial. And while the disciples had all fled, we read that last week, remember, they all took off, they all ran, every single one of them, split, gone. 2 had not fled very far. We know from the Gospel of John that he too followed Jesus. But here we see Peter following Jesus at a distance. Growing up, I had heard this taught over and over and over again. This is one of those things, this is what I was referring to earlier. Yeah. This was just one more failure on the part of Peter. Now next week, or 2 weeks actually, we will see Peter fulfilling the prophecy that he would deny Jesus 3 times. And I was always taught that one of the reasons Peter denied Jesus was because he was not following Jesus closely, but instead was following him at a distance. But in my prayers, the Lord shed a new light, I believe, on this passage for me. Because yes, Peter was following from a distance, but he was still following. Okay? He was still following. He didn't have to be there. Only one other disciple was there. The others were nowhere to be found. Peter was still following. So brothers and sisters, this morning I want to share with you this thing. You keep on following Jesus, even if it's from a distance. Even if you don't feel close to him. Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give in. Don't surrender. Don't veer left. Don't veer right. Keep following Jesus, even if it's from a distance. I want to encourage you with that this morning. It's going to be all through the message this morning. Keep following Jesus. Don't quit because sin distracted you. You know, what are the lies the devil plays all the time? You know, and if you don't remember anything else about the devil, remember this. He hates you. He wants to kill you. And he doesn't play fair. Because first, he will entice you to sin. He will tell you sin is not so bad. He will tell you one more time's okay. He will tell you that all those Christian people or all those church people or all those religious people are just judgmental. He will tell you that everybody else is doing it. He will tell you that somebody else is doing it over here that you know and nothing seems to be going wrong in their life. He'll tell you all these things. And then when you're neck deep into the sin and you're convicted by the Holy Spirit that dwells within you and you want to cry out to God, he will tell you, how dare you call out to God? You're a slimeball sinner. That's how he plays. He doesn't play fair. But don't quit just because sin has distracted you. Don't stop because pain has derailed you. Don't resign yourself to defeat because of addictions, situations, challenges. Keep following Jesus, even if from a distance. Yes, it might get weary. And you might get tired. And you will get beat up. But even if you're winded, even if you have to take a breather to catch your breath. I love when I saw Brad Stein one time. He talked about he's not perfect, he's just a follower of Jesus. And he says sometimes it's like Jesus is way up there and he's like, hold on, Jesus, hang on, I gotta catch my breath. Okay, it's just a little rough right now. Here's a little thing where we're at. And that's okay. Because sometimes that's going to happen. But don't give up. You just keep following Jesus. Even if it's from a distance. And here's what I want you to join in with me, okay? If this resonates with you at all, if you agree with me, then when I say keep following Jesus, I want you to say, all the way, no matter what. Now sometimes in the message I'm going to say keep following him, or follow Jesus. That's not your cue. Okay? Your cue is when I say, keep following Jesus. You say what?
All the way.
No matter what. All the way. So say it loud. All the way, no matter what. Okay, that's what I want to hear from you. Okay? Because here's what I'm going to do. If you don't say it, I'm not saying no more. I know some of you are like, we got church early then, huh? Okay, let's continue. Verse 59. The chief priests and the whole Sanhedrin were looking for false testimony against Jesus. You know what that means, right? I mean, in other words, this is the amazing thing when you think about it. Here are the people who are supposed to be the most concerned with the truth. And they're going to bring in liars to lie in court. The chief priests and the whole Sanhedrin were looking for false testimony against Jesus so that they could put him to death. But they could not find any, even though many false witnesses came forward. What this means is it wasn't they couldn't find people to testify falsely. The regulations for the Sanhedrin was they had to be at least two people that agreed, and nobody could agree on anything. Finally, two came forward, stated, this man said I can destroy the temple of God and rebuild it in 3 days. So there were a lot of false witnesses, and even these people, what they said was not correct. So the next point I want to make to you today is this. I want to encourage you with this. Follow Jesus no matter what others say about you. Follow no matter what others will say about you. Jesus was guilty of only one thing, and that is his opposition against the man-made, legalistic, and unscriptural rabbinic traditions that have been put in place. If you follow Jesus this morning, some religious people will not like it. Some church people will not like it. Some Christian people will not like it. Follow Jesus anyway.
All the way, no matter what.
All the way, no matter what. That's all the part you're going to say. All the way, no matter what. Follow Jesus anyway.
All the way, no matter what.
Okay. If you follow Jesus, some people will not like it. In fact, it's going to cost you. It'll cost you some friends. It'll probably cost you some finances. It'll probably cost you some standing. You know, this nation and the tide is turning. Used to be people that went to church or were Christians. The culture looked on it as favorable. Not so much anymore. If you follow Jesus, some people will not like it. 1 Peter 2:12 tells us that we should live in such a way that people will not have anything negative to say about us anyway. Right? Peter writes, conduct yourselves honorably among the Gentiles, so that when they slander you as evildoers, they will observe your good works and will glorify God on the day he visits. So basically he's saying, what Peter says is, when people speak bad about you, when they slander you, when they say false things, you don't worry about defending yourself. You live in such a way so that everybody's going to know, well, there's no truth to that. You know, because obviously we know how they live and that doesn't apply. And in that way, God's going to get glory. Now, I'm not saying that's not true, because it is very true, and I've seen it at work before, but we also know that it doesn't always work. Because Jesus was completely innocent and he didn't speak up in his defense. And they killed him.